Back here now on the Chip Shot Football Podcast to continue to discuss what happened in Week 12 here in the NFL. And the craziest game of the weekend, I would say, was this Cowboys and Commanders game, but not really in terms of like stakes or really playoff implications that much. Because, like I said, the Commanders, I still feel they're talented enough to make the playoffs. I don't think it really hurts them too much because I think they're just going to make it anyway. But overall, an insane game just for completely like no reason there towards the end. Dallas entered this game as massive underdogs and, obviously for obvious reasons, right? But in what was the craziest, final minutes that I've probably ever seen, the Cowboys won 34-26 over the Commanders to now snap their 5-game losing streak, and Dallas improves to 4-7. The Commanders, though, on the other hand, drop to 7-5 and lose their third straight game in a row. And like I said, the final 4 minutes, there was a combined 31 points in those final 4 minutes, the most in an NFL game in over a decade, and the game was 10-9 entering the fourth quarter. So to jump from that score to 34-26, it almost makes no sense at all how and why we even got to that point. But we're going to get to breaking that down in just a second. But Dallas's win, they get this win not only against a divisional opponent to kind of get people to stop just with all the criticism and all the negative energy that they've had. If they continued to lose, it was going to get even more tense than it already was. But I think this win does them a lot of good, right? Because, you had Micah Parsons talking after the game in a much more positive view. This win does good for Mike McCarthy. I still think he's going to be let go at the end of the season, but get a win here on the road against your former coach also, you imagine has to feel great. And they did it without some of their best players. Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, Trayvon Diggs, and Jake Ferguson all did not play in this game, and still they put up 34 points, and their defense played very well on top of that. So, looking at the performances in this game, talking about their defense, they got to Jaden Daniels 4 times. They produced 3 turnovers on the day against the Commanders as well, some timely ones as well with a couple fumbles, as well as an interception. So that was on the defensive side, but on the offensive side, they didn't play too bad, and I thought Cooper Rush, did pretty well. He had 2 touchdowns. He was only sacked 1 time, and he threw for 247 yards in this game. He had a quarterback rating of 117. Rico Dowdle did pretty decent, 86 rushing yards. CeeDee Lamb, 67 receiving yards, but Luke Schoonmaker and Jalen Tolbert were the ones that scored the offensive touchdowns in this game. And Jaden Daniels, based on the 10-9 score heading into the fourth quarter, he wasn't having the best game, and really the offense wasn't having the best game overall. But he did finish with 275 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he had 74 rushing yards as well as a rushing touchdown. So he accounted for 3 touchdowns on the day. He was their leading rusher. And on the receiving end of things, Terry McLaurin finished with over 100 yards and a touchdown as well. So, yeah, the numbers suggest a high-scoring back-and-forth game, as does the final score. But like I said, through 3 quarters, there was only 19 points scored between the both of them. And it was 10-9 in favor of the Cowboys. So, yeah, you look at how we even got there, right? First off, we have to talk about just the complete, I guess, just insanity that happened in this game, because the last few minutes were nuts, obviously, but there was a lot of weird stuff going on in this game. First off, we had the 3 missed field goals to start the game. Dallas had one of them blocked. Then they missed another one. They hit it off the uprights, and Washington missed one just completely as well. So that was just there in the first part of this game. Then both teams had a turnover in the first half as well. And after all of that insanity, it was only 3-3 at halftime. So you thinking that the second half there has to be at least some sort of outburst here, right? And boy, was there ever, right? Because Washington scored a touchdown to start the second half, but again, another missed kick, this time an extra point, obviously, by Austin Seibert. And with that, they only go up 9-3. Then the Cowboys go in and score, and now they lead 10-9 because obviously Aubrey doesn't really miss those extra points, so it's 10-9. Then Dallas scored another touchdown on top of that after they had made a field goal, so it was 20-9 at this point, right? Then now we're entering the fourth quarter when these things are going on, right? It's 20-9. Then Washington goes and scores a touchdown, but fails at a 2-point conversion. So still, they're down 5 points. It's 20-15 as of right now. Then we get to those final 4 to 3 minutes where everything just kind of breaks loose and there's no regard for anything anymore, right? Because at that point, Cavante Turpin returns a kickoff 99 yards, an insane spin move after the ball kind of nutmegs him and goes back to the 1 yard line, obviously. He hits an insane spin move and he returns it the length of the field, and the Cowboys just with an absolute haymaker to the Commanders to now take a 27-17 lead. And at that point, you're thinking like there's no way he should have even gotten past the 20, let alone gone on and scored after he kind of mishandled the kickoff. But it is 27-17, and after Washington got a field goal, they did a good job of getting the Cowboys offense off the field very quickly, and there was only 21 seconds left, so they're down 27-20, only 21 seconds left, and even still, there's no way anything happens, right? They hit that Hail Mary, but there's no way that happens twice. But unlike what everybody thought, it only took one play for Washington to go and score. It was an insane throw by Jaden Daniels to Terry McLaurin in between a bunch of Cowboys defenders, and Terry catches the ball in the middle of this crowd of defenders by the Cowboys, and he just goes on and scores untouched an 86-yard touchdown that should have tied the game, but Austin Seibert misses another extra point, and instead of being 27-27, probably going into overtime, it's 27-26. Just an absolute, just heartbreaking way to kind of conclude everything, right? Because you had the kickoff return, then the touchdown, and everybody's going crazy in that stadium. But then the kicker, the thing that should have been the most guaranteed thing, he shanks it completely left, and it's just awful. I feel pretty bad for Austin Seibert in the moment, but then they tried the onside kick, and out of nowhere, the Cowboys just field it, and without any regard of, oh, I'm going to fumble, oh, I got to make sure I secure it. I don't even know the guy's name. He recovers the onside kick in stride. He breaks through everybody on the Commanders, special teams, defensive line, and he just breaks towards the end zone, and he scores another touchdown. And at that point, the game is definitely over, right? Because the Commanders scored with about 20 to 21 seconds left. They missed the extra point. Then you have this touchdown, and now you're down multiple scores, right? So that's where, this game, an electric win, definitely for Dallas, right? But just the back and forths, the swaying of emotions everywhere in, just the last 4 minutes, it was insane. I saw also, if you guys watch Red Zone, right, I wasn't able to catch it, but I saw everywhere how during Red Zone, the witching hour where all the games go into the fourth quarter, all of the fourth quarter mayhem with this game and the other games that we're going to talk about also was just the most electric witching hour on Red Zone. You had touchdowns just flying everywhere. It was awesome, and another electrifying win for Dallas, considering everything. But still, to just kind of reel it in a little bit, right? Everyone's hyped up over this win for the Cowboys and everything like that, but I don't think it's any sort of spark for any late playoff push or anything like that. The Cowboys are cooked. Let's not get it mixed up. I don't think they're about to rile off 6-5 wins in a row from this point on, right? I think this game was just a complete, just random, out of nowhere game where you kind of lose all sense and all control of it, and anything can really happen. And the Cowboys were fortunate to be on the positive end of it. So it's awesome for them to win, but I don't really expect much more than maybe one more win, I think, this season, if any. But it's still, credit to them for playing great defense, for their special teams for being awesome as well. It's what made the difference over the Commanders, right? But speaking about the Commanders, it's very disappointing, right? Because this was a team that you were supposed to beat, considering, they were missing like almost all of their players, right? We talk about Dak, DeMarcus Lawrence still, Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, all these guys, Trayvon Diggs, and your offense only puts up 9 points in the first half. Then you almost lose this game like 27-17, but credit to them for coming back. But even still, to lose a game like this and to lose your third straight game in a row, I think that fatigue is catching up with them. At least some of the younger guys, right? Maybe Jaden Daniels. He is in the midst of his longest, period playing football, where you have the draft, the end of the college season, the combine, everything is going on, and still they have not even reached their bye week. So I think we're seeing a little bit of that, but I am starting to have my doubts about this offense a little bit, mainly just because they don't have really anybody else to step up and really make an impact. Brian Robinson went down in this game. Noah Brown is nice, but I think they still need somebody more than just that, than just Noah Brown and Terry McLaurin, because we saw in the Eagles game how both of them were completely shut down, and even that offense, kept it close for a little bit before, you just can't sustain it with that talent against a team like the Eagles, against a team like the Lions or like the Rams or something like that. I think that's their biggest problem. And honestly, if you look back at it too, they're 7-5, but they're also a miraculous Hail Mary away, really, from failing, from them being 6-6. If that Hail Mary doesn't go their way, they're 6-6 right now. So you also have to keep that in mind as well. They're in a rough stretch of it as it goes right now. But I'm still holding my chips on the Commanders. I don't think they're done or anything like that. It is a little bit worrying, right, when you still have to play the Eagles, the Falcons, even Dallas again. It's going to be in Dallas this time. Or I guess maybe now thinking about it, maybe that'll be better because they're still winless at home, to be honest. So maybe that's not so worrying. But even the Eagles, the Falcons, and even the Titans, you don't know what to expect from them. Those are a little bit worrying and aren't so close as you would have thought before. But it was still just an insane game. Definitely one of the most exciting ones I have seen there towards the end of the game. But moving on from that, a little bit from an NFC game, we're going to go into another NFC matchup where there was a lot more implications on this one, I think, for the 49ers, those playoff hopes, and for the Packers as well, to kind of get revenge on the 49ers and continue to roll on here and start building a little winning streak here for the Packers. And they didn't disappoint by any stretch. They pummeled the 49ers, and we're going to discuss everything that went into that game, with the injuries, what we saw in it, and what it means really for the 49ers going forward. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're listening to the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast.
Looking